It's been a long while since classic World of Warcraft was originally available, but with people being dissatisfied with either retail or perhaps the massive popularity of private servers at the time, Blizzard decided to give us classic after all, for vanilla is the favorite taste of many players of the MMO. But as with all things, classic comes with its upsides and downsides. Today I would like to go over 5 of the best and 5 of the worst things about classic World of Warcraft. At number 10 is the amazing community. I say this knowing there will be people who disagree with this, but let me explain. I will go over both points of view, but for me personally, the community is definitely a plus. I remember starting Classic, hundreds of players all around me, grouping up, standing in line to do a quest, looking for each other to do dungeons and group quests and whatnot, and that for me personally was an absolute blast. Nowadays, now that most people are level 60, I still think the community is pretty great. I can find people for dungeons, have been part of great leveling guilds, raiding guilds, met amazing people and just met a lot of friends all around. When I look back at last year, when I hear the word community, it just brings a lot of positive moments to my mind. But keep in mind that I played on a PvP server for a year and recently transferred over to a PvE server. I know that the dispelling meta isn't for everyone's cup of tea, neither are gold DKP runs or tanks wanting to tank only if they get paid all greens and blues, etc. So for some people this might definitely be a negative point as they perceive the community to be more toxic and selfish, but for me that's not the case. And now being on a PvE server, it has taken away all the last points I could have had an issue with. So all in all for me, the community is definitely a great plus. At number 9 are the endless queues. I'm sure not everyone was affected by this, as there are plenty smaller servers, but let me tell you, for weeks and weeks I had to pre-log in 3 hours in advance to queue for 3 hours and then be able to raid. Fortunately we were given free transfers, and as I took it I never looked back. The queues were so infamously long that there were tons of posts and memes about it and whatnot. For some people it was worth it being on a full server, and for others it was absolute agony. Let's hope this won't be the case for when the Burning Crusade releases, but I fear that for big servers queues will once again return to their full glory. At number 8 is a sense of achievement in leveling. Today's gaming trends tend to have faster gameplay, quicker progression, and just in general a quicker type of satisfaction to give to the player. But what is maybe the most memorable thing about Classic is its slow gameplay and progression. Level 40 to 50 especially can be a slow pace and harrowing part of the leveling experience. But all in all, that's exactly what makes it so memorable. Every level counts, every quest reward might be an actual upgrade and so on. You can just come home, sit down and start the grind. Which, if you take your time, can be a very pleasant experience and not necessarily a grind. At number 7 we have the aged visuals. I was a bit hesitant to add this one to the list, so I won't spend too much time on it, but the aged visuals is something that a lot of people, especially new players who come from retail and never have tried Classic before, might have a bit of an issue with. For us who were there for the original Classic or private servers, behold these graphics with our rose-tinted goggles of nostalgia and absolutely adore it. But for a lot of people, the graphics might not be up to par. Luckily, Blizzard added the option to increase the graphics to a more retail-esque look, and the Classic look for those who prefer those instead. At number 6 are the low-level instances. I, for one, absolutely adore these. Just getting a few people together for a little adventure and some possible upgrades and loot is all you need sometimes. The dungeons are linear, well designed and just have a good flow to them. Some might be more challenging than others, depending on who you are with of course. They just have this great nostalgic feeling to them and you know you're in for a nice hour or two. I really love it. At number 5 are the cumbersome quests. World of Warcraft doesn't provide a lot of variety when it comes to its quests. There are fetch quests, kill quests, escort quests, and go interact with some item or run to a certain spot quests. I might be forgetting a few, but you get the idea. Questing in Classic might be a bit monotone, which is great for some and boring for others. Remember that one quest where you have to collect an ear or a hoof or a hair off of an enemy, and only 1 in 20 manage to drop one? Don't they all have hooves? It makes you wonder, doesn't it? They also come with their own variety of respawn timers and density, so questing may be a bit cumbersome from time to time. At number 4 are the amazing old talent trees. The ability to use all 3 talent trees makes it possible to make a really unique build that really makes your character your own. Of course, there will always be the best build and most other combinations won't make a lot of sense, but the freedom to do so is there for you to explore and experiment in. You can become a mage who is adept in all 3 magic schools but doesn't excel at any. The freedom in the talent trees makes your character your playground. At number 3 is the limited viability of classes and specs for raiding. It's known that not all specs are viable or will be taken to a raid. Most hybrid classes have a meme spec so to say and will unfortunately be looked down upon within the community. Even though you might really be into a red paladin or a boomkin, unless you get a dedicated raid spot, it won't let you go very far in Classic. Admittedly, we had a boomkin at one point, and even though she went quickly, she did have some great burst potential. Same with the elemental shamans. But for the general side of the road, not all specs are viable and that's a real shame. This will be fixed in the Burning Crusade however, and that is something to look forward to. At number 2 is the daunting and exciting open world. Even though retail WoW is a lot bigger when it comes to the world, the swift flying mounts and portals make it a much smaller world in a way. Classic really gives it a large feeling because you don't have a mount until level 40, you're walking from one end to the other, dying makes you corpse run for a decent while, so dying really has its consequences. A lot of people might hate this feature, but it's what makes the world so exciting and daunting. And finally, we have the scarcity of endgame content. It is no secret that apart from your weekly raids, there isn't much to do. This is why a lot of people have multiple characters. You could do some PvP, sell some boosts or whatever, but in reality most of the time you're just waiting until your raids unlock or until your next planned raid is, either with your guild or a pug run. As a WoW Classic raider who enjoys PvE, once you've done your raids for the week, that character becomes somewhat locked until reset. And those are the 10 best and worst things about Classic WoW. Thanks for listening, and I will see you next time.